The theater lights dim, the crowd hums, and for a split second everything feels ordinary until a quiet, trembling breath cuts through the silence. That's when you feel it. That electric pull that tells you something unforgettable is about to happen. Before we begin, if stories that move your heart and remind you why dreams matter mean anything to you, tap like, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us, because this is one of those moments that doesn't just entertain you, it stays with you. He walks onto the stage with careful steps, a Cebu teen whose shoes look a little too worn for a room this bright. His name echoes softly through the hall, but what really speaks is his face, hope mixed with nerves, courage stitched together with fear. Back home, he grew up in a small neighborhood where music floated through open windows and neighbors shared what little they had. His father worked long days at the port, his mother sold food at a roadside stall, and every peso counted. But at night, when the world slowed down, the boy would sing. Not to be famous. Not to be rich. He sang because it was the one place where his worries couldn't follow him. Music wasn't just sound to him, it was survival. When storms flooded streets and power went out, he sang. When school fees felt impossible, he sang. He learned by listening to old records borrowed from neighbors, drawn to the raw power of voices that could shake a room without ever raising a fist. Elvis became a legend in his house, not because of fame, but because of feeling. The way a voice could tell a whole story in a single note. The boy practiced every day, sometimes skipping meals so his younger siblings could eat, telling himself that one day his voice would matter. Getting to America's Got Talent wasn't a straight path. There were auditions where judges shook their heads, relatives who told him to be realistic, friends who loved him but didn't quite believe. There were nights when doubt sat beside him like an unwanted guest. But every time he thought about quitting, he remembered his mother listening outside his bedroom door, smiling like the world was finally kind. So he kept going. Now, standing in front of Simon Cowell and the judges, the weight of all those years presses down on his chest. Simon leans back, arms crossed, famous for cutting through illusions. The crowd waits. The teen closes his eyes for a second, not to escape, but to remember who he is. He opens them, nods to the band, and the first note leaves his lips. It's not loud at first. It doesn't need to be. The sound is rich, textured, full of something you can't train, truth. A hush spreads through the audience. The boy's voice carries the grit of struggle and the warmth of hope, bending notes with an instinct that feels older than his years. He doesn't imitate, he channels. You can hear echoes of legends, but what stands out is him, his story, his hunger, his heart. As the song builds, his confidence grows. He moves like the music is guiding him, each phrase landing exactly where it should. The crowd starts to react, hands over mouths, eyes wide, chills running up spines. Simon's expression shifts almost imperceptibly, that familiar skepticism softening into something else. Surprise. Respect. Maybe even awe. Halfway through, the boy hits a note that seems to suspend time. It's the kind of moment people talk about years later, the kind that makes you forget you're watching a competition and reminds you why music exists at all. The judges lean forward. The audience erupts. And when the final note fades, there's a heartbeat of silence, then the room explodes. Applause crashes like a wave. People are on their feet. The boy bows, eyes shining, barely believing what just happened. Simon stands too, clapping slowly at first, then with conviction. When he speaks, his words cut through the noise, praise that feels earned, acknowledgement that this wasn't just a good audition, it was a moment. He says something simple but powerful, something that lands deep, this is why the show exists. Backstage, the teen finally exhales. He thinks of his family watching from Cebu, probably crying, probably shouting his name at the screen. He thinks of the nights he almost gave up, the mornings he practiced until his throat ached. For the first time, the dream feels real, not because of fame, but because his voice was heard. The journey doesn't magically become easy after that. There are tougher rounds, higher expectations, pressure that threatens to crush him. Critics appear. Doubts creep back in. But now he has proof that belief can turn into reality, that talent paired with perseverance can cross oceans. He learns to trust himself, to sing not just to impress, but to connect. Each performance after that carries more weight. He sings for the kid he used to be, for the parents who sacrificed everything, for anyone who's ever been told their dream was too big. And every time he steps on stage, you can feel it, that same electricity, that same truth. He's no longer just a contestant. He's a reminder. By the end of his run, win or lose, something irreversible has happened. A Cebu teen walked onto a global stage and proved that greatness doesn't ask where you're from. It asks how deeply you feel, how bravely you try. Somewhere, a young viewer picks up courage from his story. Somewhere else, a family gathers around a screen, believing a little more in tomorrow. If this story moved you, if you felt that spark even through the screen, don't let it end here. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that dreams are worth chasing. Because long after the lights fade and the applause quiets, voices like his keep echoing, telling us that with heart, hard work, and hope, even legends would be proud. The lights fall quiet in a way that feels heavier than silence, like the entire room is holding its breath at the same time. Before you even realize it, your heart starts beating a little faster, because moments like this don't announce themselves, they sneak up on you. One boy. One microphone. One chance to change everything. If you believe in underdog stories, if you believe that raw talent can still shake the world, take a second right now to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Because what you're about to hear isn't just a performance, it's a life unfolding in real time. He steps onto the America's Got Talent stage with a shy nod, his shoulders slightly tense, his hands clasped together as if he's afraid the dream might slip away if he lets go. He's a teenager from Cebu, Philippines, and the journey from his narrow streets to this massive stage feels almost unreal. Back home, the air smells of the sea and fried street food, and music drifts from radios balanced on windowsills. His world was never quiet, but it was never easy either. His father worked long hours hauling cargo at the port, coming home exhausted, hands rough, but eyes gentle. His mother woke before sunrise to prepare food she sold all day, counting coins with care, always making sure there was enough for the children, even if it meant sacrificing her own comfort. From the time he could remember, music lived inside him. Not the kind you learn from fancy lessons or expensive teachers, but the kind that grows in your chest when life feels too heavy to carry alone. As a child, he would sit on the floor of their small home, listening to old songs played on borrowed speakers. That was how he discovered Elvis, not as a distant icon, but as a voice full of soul, pain, and fire. He didn't understand all the words back then, but he understood the feeling. That voice sounded like someone who had known struggle and turned it into strength. School was tough. Some days he went with barely enough money for lunch. Other days, he watched classmates talk about dreams that felt too big for someone like him. But every afternoon, when he got home, he sang. He sang while helping his mother clean, while rocking his younger sibling to sleep, while staring out the window at the fading sky. Singing became his escape and his promise to himself that no matter how small his world felt, his voice could travel farther. As he grew older, reality began to push back harder. People around him meant well, but their words still hurt. Music is a hobby, they said. You need a real job. Even friends who admired his voice wondered if it was worth chasing something so uncertain. There were moments when he doubted himself, when he stared at the ceiling late at night asking if he was being selfish for dreaming. But then he'd remember his parents' quiet faith, the way his mother paused to listen whenever he sang, the way his father nodded slowly, as if saying, "Keep going." Auditions were brutal. Some were held in cramped rooms where judges barely looked up. Some ended with polite smiles and quick rejections. Each no felt like another weight added to his shoulders. But he kept practicing, pushing his voice even when his throat burned, even when hope felt thin. When the opportunity to audition for America's Got Talent finally came, it felt impossible. Flights, paperwork, fear, everything stacked against him. But his family found a way. They always did. Standing on that stage now, he introduces himself softly. His accent carries home with it, a reminder of where he comes from. Simon Cowell watches closely, expression unreadable. The audience murmurs, unsure what to expect. The boy grips the microphone, closes his eyes for half a second, and thinks of Cebu, the sounds, the smells, the faces that shaped him. Then he sings. The first note doesn't shout. It doesn't beg for attention. It simply exists, and that's enough. Something shifts in the room. Conversations stop. Phones lower. His voice is rich and textured, carrying both youth and something far older, like stories passed down through generations. As the melody unfolds, confidence replaces fear. Each lyric feels lived in, honest, pulled straight from his chest. You can see it on the judges' faces. This isn't what they expected. This isn't just talent, it's presence. He moves naturally, not copying anyone, not pretending to be someone else. The echoes of legends are there, yes, but they're woven into something uniquely his. The crowd begins to react, first with gasps, then applause between phrases, then full disbelief. Halfway through the song, he reaches a note that sends chills through the theater. It's raw and powerful, holding just long enough to make time feel suspended. Simon leans forward. The other judges exchange looks. This is the kind of moment producers dream about, the kind viewers remember years later. When the final note fades, the silence returns, but this time it's different. It's full. Then the eruption comes. The audience leaps to their feet, applause crashing like thunder. The boy's eyes fill with tears as he bows, overwhelmed. Simon stands, clapping, a small smile breaking through his usual reserve. When he speaks, his words are measured but unmistakable. This was special. This was real. Backstage, the boy finally allows himself to cry. He thinks of his parents watching from home, of neighbors crowding around a single screen, cheering as if they're right there with him. For the first time, he believes that maybe, just maybe, his dream isn't foolish. But success doesn't erase struggle overnight. As the competition continues, expectations grow heavier. Every performance is judged more harshly. Critics online question whether he can keep it up. Pressure tightens its grip. There are nights when he can't sleep, replaying every note in his head, terrified of disappointing the people who believe in him. Yet each time he steps back on stage, he remembers why he started. He sings for the kid who practiced alone. He sings for families who work endlessly with little recognition. He sings for anyone who's ever been told they're aiming too high. And with every performance, his voice grows steadier, deeper, more confident. Win or lose, something irreversible happens. A boy from Cebu shows the world that greatness doesn't belong to one country, one accent, or one background. It belongs to those brave enough to try. His journey becomes more than entertainment, it becomes a message. Dreams are not luxuries. They are lifelines. So if you're watching this and feeling inspired, don't let that feeling fade. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Share this story with someone who needs hope today. Because somewhere out there, another quiet dreamer is waiting for a sign, and this might be it.